Hello my lovely crafters. In this video I am quite simply going to show you how to mix up your disciplines. This baby cardigan, which can be used as a christening gown, was started off with crochet and finished off with knit. Now I'm not going to do these motifs in this video, but what I am going to show you is how to make a fuller one for a christening gown. The reason why I'm going to skip over these motifs is I want this to be a unisex christening gown, and I've touched on these motifs before in other videos where you can easily transfer this pattern into it. So let's start this off, people. I'm using a double knit yarn. This stuff I got from a charity shop. It's the Art of Knitting one. You will need about 100 grams to make this. I will update this commentary if that does alter, but at the moment I believe it is 100 grams. We are using a 3.5 crochet hook, 3.5 millimeter. We're going to start off with a slip stitch. I meant to say slip knot. Yes, we're starting off with a slip knot. Most of you know how to do this if you are a crocheter. If you are a knitter and this is your first time, you just cross the yarn over, pull the yarn through, and we've got a slip stitch. And we're just going to put that on our hook, and we want to do a 55 chain. We are starting at the yoke, so you just pull the yarn over and pull it through. And that's one stitch, and we are going to do that 55 times. That once you've got to 55 stitches, we are going to be working in triple crochets UK term. You're going to do yarn over, going into the fourth stitch from the hook. That's 1 2 3 4, and we're just going to go straight in, pull the yarn through 2 and pull the yarn through 2. We're going to do that so we have a total of 8 stitches, including the turning chain. Turning chain in this instance will count as a stitch. So that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Then in the 9th stitch, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this first chain here, we are counting that as a stitch. In the 9th one, I want you to do 3 of those triple crochets. 1 2 3, all in the same chain. Then we're going to crochet 8 more across. So that'll be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Double count your stitches because this will be the start of the shoulder. So you've got your 3 there, 1 2 3, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. We are then going to work 3 triple crochet into the next chain. 1 2 3. Then we are going to work 16 across. So we have got 8 times 2 plus 2 3. So that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Where I didn't count, where I just put my thumb and stopped, that is where the triples are going. So you want to do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 triple crochets. So that's 1 stitch into each chain all the way across. This is the foundation row. I do love doing this baby jacket at the moment, only because it mixes up 2 disciplines. Not many people mix up knitting and crochet together. So we're just doing 1 stitch into every one across for 16 stitches. This will be the back. As you may have gathered, this baby cardigan is done all in one apart from the sleeves. I haven't been counting my stitches, so let's just go back and count. That's 3 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, 14, 15, 16. Then we're going to go back into the next loop for our 3 triples. That's 1, 2, 3. Then we are going to do 8 triples into the next stitches. 1 into each stitch, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 3 into the next. 1, 2, 3. Then 8 into the remaining chains. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into your very last chain. Then we're going to chain 3. Each row will begin with a chain 3 at this point. And you're going to do 1 triple crochet into each stitch till you get to your cluster. So you're ignoring the first one where the chain 3 stands. That counts as a stitch. So in this instance we should be having 9 triple crochets till you get to your cluster. This will increase for every row. Once you're at your cluster, you go once into the first of the 3, 3 times into the center 3, to the center of the 3, 1, 2, 3, and once into the next one. So that should be 9 stitches before you triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got your 3 triples into the center stitch, and you are going to repeat that pattern 1 stitch into each stitch to the next cluster. You are going to work this increase for 8 rows. So this will just continue on. 1 into each stitch until you get to that 3 triples into the one again, and then 3 triples into the center stitch. 1, 2, 3. If stitch markers help you, feel free to put a stitch marker at the center and move it up each time so you know where you are. If, however, you can see the stitches like me and you're okay to do so, just carry on as you are. I'm just going to keep going with this until you get to your next triple. You should have 4 increases on each row. Now I'll show you what this looks like after row 2. The foundation row does count as your first row. So I'm up to my 3rd cluster, and we are increasing 3 into middle of that cluster again, and then 1 in each stitch till we get to the next one, and we're just going to keep increasing. One in each stitch till we get to the next increase. And it's getting rather noisy in my house, as you might be able to pick up from the camera in the distance. So I'm going to do the next 8 rows off camera. But all you're going to do is increase where you've increased on the previous rows. I've done that automatically. So 3 increase into the middle cluster. I haven't done that automatically, I skipped it. There's your 3 cluster. You're going into the middle one for your increase. Always the middle one, and always 3 into that middle one. So that way you keep your increase constant. And then 1 in each stitch to the end, including 1 into your chaining stitch. I'll show you what I mean by the turning chain. So 1 into each stitch. Once you get to the turning chain, you're going to go into the top of that, and you are going to just triple and then chain 1, 2, 3. We're going to repeat that row 8 times, so this is what it looks like at the moment. And before you get too concerned, when it comes in and that connects, that will be our yoke. So we're going to keep increasing for 8. I'll see you after 8 rows. So you're just going to crochet across to the center cluster, 3 into that center one, crochet to the center cluster, 3 into that one, crochet across to the center cluster, 3 into that one, crochet across to the center, 3 into that one. Don't forget to go into your chain at the end and 3 chain to the top. And as at the start, you're not going into the one which the 3 chain is standing, you are going into the next one. I'll see you in 8 rows time, people. Okay, once you've got 8 rows done of triple crochet, increasing at the same point, 4 points all the way around every single row, you should have something like this. Now, this doesn't look like a cardigan to you, that's fine. We're just going to fold it in half, fold it that way, and that creates your cardigan. So I've pretty much just flipped these closed. The points make the arm, so line your points up. When we go back to the machine, what we are going to do is we're going to cast on these stitches here onto the machine. Then we are going to skip this many stitches from the point to the point, cast on for the back, skipping these stitches around the arm and casting on here. What I will most likely do is, let's just pull that so it saves the stitch, is I will include the increase stitch, the middle of the increase, onto there. So let's go to the machine and start casting this on. Now you know what I'm doing. Okay everyone, so here we are on the machine. I've put the middle two stitches on just so I can guide you through this. Now you'll notice at the top there are two stitches. You want to make sure you take the one that's behind so you get more definition on it. On my other cardigan, which I showed you at the start of the video, I have casted up every single one stitch per every single hook, but I want to make this fuller. So I've taken the center two stitches of the cardigan and put them at 0 so I know where I am. I am going to skip one and put the next two on. We are only taking from the back loop only. As I said, I'm making this a bit fuller, so I am skipping one needle. I'm not skipping a stitch, so I'm actually doing an increase, and I'm putting the next two up. And we are going to do this all the way until we get to that triple crochet increase. So let's just carry on with this on this side. Everything that you do on this side, you will mirror on the other side to make it even. Just move this camera over so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm not actually skipping a stitch, I'm just skipping a needle to increase a stitch. I'm doing that all the way across. If you want to make it even more fuller, you can do an increase every single stitch. Right, I am at the middle now, so what I'm going to do, when I say I'm at the middle, I mean I'm at an increase point. Now remember what I said a few minutes ago? We want to stop casting on at that third triple crochet cluster there. So we're going to take these two stitches, skip one, put it on, and that is the third stitch of the cluster. Then we are going to break for all these stitches down here and come back to the next cluster, which is over here. We are going to ignore the first stitch of the cluster and take the second and the third stitch of the cluster and hook them on. That gives you your arm. That right there is your arm. Let's zoom out so you can see a little bit. Everything I do on this side I will be repeating on the other side. You are going to continue to pick the stitches up by skipping one stitch. Now what I didn't say was I have cut off and tied up the end of the row just so it's easier to thread the machine up as I go. So we are mixing up two disciplines here. We're just continuing to skip the one needle and put the following 2 stitches on. Now at the end I have got 1 stitch where it breaks the pattern a little bit, so I'm just going to take that very last stitch and put it up. Make sure you are picking up in the back loop only, because that's how I got the definition on it. And that's taken me to 50 stitches either side of 0. So just going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Exact same thing. As I put the first 2 stitches on either side of 0, everything is going to be mirrored. You're going to pick the 2 stitches up and just tuck them over again. Again, working in the back loop only. This will be until you get to the increase for the sleeve, skipping 1 stitch each time. The aim is to make this more fuller than the other one, to make it more into a christening gown. I do apologise if I'm in the way right now. It doesn't matter if you feel some pulling on this, the stitches will bring it back together. I will be working on a tension of 4, just so the stitches are a bit looser, rather than a tension of 3. Now, I've just reached the corner here, so I need, so on this side, just in case this happens to you, I'm not fast forwarding this one, as you may notice. I obviously want that corner stitch, so I am going to put it on and make this a 3 instead of a 2. Then I'm going to ignore all these stitches here and continue at the next 3 cluster increase, ignoring 1 stitch. And we are taking 2, just as we did on the other side. And we are going to do that until we get to the end of the crochet. You can also do this with knitting if you would rather knit a yoke. But I actually like how pretty this looks with crochet. So again, I'm just picking up every 2 stitches, ignoring 1. And this will make a nice full traditional crocheted christening gown with a knitted dress. You will feel the stretch. Stretch is okay as long as you don't see it bending your needles. And as long as you've picked up that last stitch, you are good to go. So I've actually reached 50 on one side, but not quite 50 on the other. You are going to bring all the needles into play because you want this to be nice and full. So just bringing every single needle into play. So I've actually got 48 of 50 cast on there, which is absolutely fine. Then, just because I don't trust the weight of the wool and the crochet, I will be hooking on my casting comb just loosely on here. Thread your machine up and we're good to go. Now in the past I've been known to just do 20 rows, but I think I'm going to be tempted to do 30. Set your row counter to 0. Make sure you are in number 2 for your lever closest to you, so it takes any stitches out of hold. And we're just going to go across and knit every single stitch. If you do have the issue where some of your stitches fall off, just go back, pick them up, and you will get them on the next row. Unfortunately, it is very easily done when you are switching disciplines. So we're just going to get our knitting needle and literally take every single stitch off. And we'll do that all the way across, and I'll see you back at what I've decided to call the sewing station. Sorry about the change in mind, people. So all we're going to do is we're going to single crochet into each of these stitches, which is basically going to be the same as a cast off. So I've taken this stitch onto my crochet hook, and I've just done yarn over, pull through. So I'm going to take the yarn, pull it through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do this all the way along, which will be the same as the manual cast off, but with it being crochet, you'll be able to see the stitches to get into there sooner, faster, and it will give you a looser stitch. So just going through the stitch, yarn through once, yarn through twice. Once you've cast off every single stitch with a UK double crochet, it will look something like this. It will still be curling up. So what we're going to do is chain 1 at the beginning and double crochet into every single stitch across. Okay, now we've got this far, we are going to do that same single crochet around the neckline and around the edging. Let's just flatten that out so you can see what we've got, so you can see what it looks like. The edging is just going to keep it nice and flat. So you're going to go around the edging, around here, and around the neckline. Around the edging here, we are going to go into the first stitch, well, the first line. We are going to ignore 1, go into the next, and you're going to do that all the way up to the top using the exact same stitch. Just ignore one hole, go into the next, otherwise it gathers it up too much. And you're going to do that all the way till you get up to here. Once you get up to here, it is going to be 2 of those stitches into one of these chains. We are literally going to do 1 stitch here. Now we are going to do 2 stitches into each chain here. So that's 1, 2. We're ignoring this, we're just going straight in. You can also work over your ends here, as I am automatically doing, or you can sew them up later. That's completely up to you. Right, 1 stitch into every single stitch around the neckline. Good thing about doing it this way is we don't have to worry too much about buttonholes, because we've got some pre-made ones with the crochet there. If you want to add extra buttonholes, just do another line. Right here where we did the triple cluster, we're going to skip over that stitch and go straight into the next. And we're going to do that for the same every single one. Sorry guys, I don't normally skip, not catch the ball the first time through. I don't normally do that either. Maybe I've crocheted too much today. And you're going to do that all the way around, omitting that 1 stitch where you did the triple. I tell you to take from the back loop only is so that you get that definition there. And that is the baby jacket done. So I will see you guys later. See you on the purl side. Happy crafting everyone. Bye.